All right. Jason Sobel and I are back. It is the early wedge, and we're talking quick hitter preview of the John Deere Classic. Jason Sobel, another, I guess, easy test where we're in that part of the year as we lead up, of course, to the Scottish Open and then, of course, the Open Championship. Talk to me about what you're looking for. We got about a 7,300 par 71, pretty wide fairways, pretty low scores, actually really low scores. If you look at last year and the years prior, interesting that it did look like it was a ball strikers course for the most part. And last year we saw a lot of the heavy hitters with Davis Thompson winning, but Thorbjornsen second. We had, Clanton was up there. Some of the like longer hitters like Hayden Springer was up there. But we got some ball strikers too. We see the scorecard here on the screen. What are you looking for at TPC Deer Run?
Yeah, I feel like last year was a little bit of an anomaly with those guys that you mentioned, mostly like with the winner and two of the three runner-up finishes being long hitters. It's not what we are used to getting here. We've seen winners like going back before that. Seb Straka, not a big hitter, even though he's a big dude. Everyone thinks he's a big hitter, not a long hitter. JT Poston, not that long. Lucas Glover, certainly not very long. Going back a few years before that, Michael Kim. Okay, Bryson, another outlier. Ryan Moore was never long. Jordan was not long back when he was in his early days 10 years ago. Brian Harmon, Zach Johnson, and Steve Stricker own this place. So that's a lot of really shorter hitters, guys that are accurate, precise, ball strikers, and can roll in a whole lot of putts. So essentially that's what I'm looking for. And if I get beat with a Davis Thompson, Michael Thorbjornsen type, Luke Clanton, who mashes the ball around there, so be it. But I'm going to look for guys that are the precision guys who can just roll in a boatload of putts.
And from a precision standpoint, we know that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, we've got wide fairways here, which I think does like initially lend itself to guys that are long, but the rough pretty penal out here as well, right? You want to be in the fairway.
It's the growing season in the Midwest. It's going to be hot. It's going to be probably wet. We're going to have some rain out there at some point if it hasn't gotten there already. And so, yeah, you've got to be in the fairway. I don't think it'll be dissimilar to this week where, look, long and straight is better than short and straight, and certainly better than short and crooked, but short and straight might be a little bit better than long and crooked. So it all depends. We're trying to figure this stuff out on a regular basis. And a lot of it comes down to luck too. Look, sometimes you can be long and crooked and be crooked in the right spots and still turns out okay. You can be long and crooked, hit it behind a tree every single time and you're screwed. So it just depends kind of how these guys fare.
So let's talk about some names. Again, we'll cover this tournament a lot more on the DFS show, the Best Bets show, and of course the live chat, which will hit you Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday on this channel. But I mean, what was fun last week, Jason, was when we kind of had the back and forth, like we're drafting players. We talked about it pre-show. Chris Kish saying, "Happy Sunday, boys." Appreciate that. Hit the like button, by the way, if you could, Chris and everybody else. Thank you for being in here every Sunday. Jeff Stenberg, Brad Morris, Prasant, Joseph Boza, a lot of people in here, and we certainly appreciate you. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. All right, let me start with the guy that just keeps playing golf. We talked about this pre-tournament, Ben Griffin. I mean, listen, I don't know if I regret taking Ben Griffin at the Rocket Classic. I mean, he still has a chance. It's just not like an extremely good chance, because taking Ben Griffin at 22-1 ended up keeping me off of guys like Max Grazerman, who might have a better shot of winning that tournament. With that said, I can't help but look at Ben Griffin's stat profile just over the last, 3 months and be like, oh my gosh, this guy is hitting it better short game, long game, any game, hitting it better than almost anybody on the PGA Tour.
If Ben Griffin hadn't won, if Ben Griffin was like, I'm still trying to get into some bigger events, get my status for the playoffs, get into some big events next year, I would say this would be the perfect place for him at the John Deere Classic. Here's the problem, is that he's already won. He's already won twice. He's already finished runner-up in a signature event and top 15 in a major championship. And that price, you want to take a guess at what his price might be at the John Deere that's coming? He might be the favorite. Without looking too deep into the field, like it might be Ben Griffin at 12 or 14-1 this coming week. Am I missing somebody out there that's like a bigger name? Jason Day is playing for some reason.
You're right. There's not a lot of big names. Just looking at the field last night, I wasn't super impressed with the name. You're right. Actually, did you say 14-1? Because that sounds right to me.
Yeah, that's about what I think. And if there's no one ahead of it, 14-1 seems kind of long for the favorite in any field. So it might just be pushed to 12 just because there's no one else shorter than him. That said, I think he makes for, like, it's not to say that I don't like him next week. Makes for a great one and done selection. If you're sitting on Ben Griffin to this point and you've got him available next week, absolutely play him. And I'll play him in DFS because there should be plenty of guys at cheaper prices to go after. But I just don't know that I want to bet him at 12, 14-1 as a favorite.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Okay, so I gave out a name. I'm sure you looks like you've looked at some of the field list. What's a name that pops off to you, whether it's DFS or betting or what have you?
I will preface this by saying that I've done less research for this coming event than I usually do on a Sunday morning. I'll get there later today. But since this is a draft, Sia, I feel like this is game theory.
I love it.
So I'm going to try to steal your pick. And I know a guy that you really like is Jacob Bridgman. So I'm going to say Jacob Bridgman before you get to him.
You know, I wasn't going to say him. I like it. So Jacob Bridgman is, so the one problem with him, and I got to look at how he's done the last month or so, but it off the tee, he can be a little erratic, but I guess if he reins that in, with the iron play is usually pretty good, and the putter can get really hot for him. So I don't, and by the way, from a talent standpoint, I think he is one of those up and comers that like actually has sustainable talent long term. So we'll have to wait and see. But I love the Jacob Bridgman call. All right, I'm going to go with, I'm looking at my Bud Cauley's in this tournament. You want a ball striker that can fill it up, that has been hot several times this year? Bud Cauley, if I'm looking at the outright board tonight, which will probably come out in some places tonight, I really don't know what his number is because I kind of have to look at the field list one more time and see what heavy hitters are in here. Maybe, Josh, you can help me out with that. Jason Day is certainly one of them, but there's a few others. But Bud Cauley, if he's like, I don't know, 40-1, 30, maybe he'll be like 35-1 or so, something like that. I'm happy to take that.
I like that a lot. I hadn't had him on my preliminary list, but again, I spent 5 minutes on it. Like this is very early days on the John Deere research. I'm going to go back to a guy that I had at the Travelers last week. Didn't play his best golf, but I said that if and when he's going to win, it's going to be on that kind of golf course. And I actually think TPC Deer Run and TPC River Highlands have some similarities. I'm hoping for a number that might start with a 3 on Denny McCarthy. I'm not optimistic.
Well, it's funny.
I have a feeling it's going to be more like a 25-1.
Here's the funny thing. Denny was probably going to be, even though I'm not a Denny guy, he's on my list, and because he's more of a big ticket name than what we have in this field. Josh was just in our private chat saying, somebody please say Denny. And you said it like 5 seconds later.
I did not even see Josh's play yet. Yes.
Denny's play here has been really good. And this is probably a little bit of what Josh is getting to. So let's see. Last year he was in the top 10, I think, or right lingering in that top 10. The year prior, T6. The year prior to that, T6. Clearly likes this place, can clearly fill it up with the putter. Denny McCarthy is going to be a popular play, and he will be, honestly, I think he'll be south of 30-1 on this board is my guess. Go ahead, Josh.
He was T7 last year, so we're T6, T6, T7 each of the last 3 years.
Is that your pick? Is that your early pick, Josh?
I think that's my first click. Yeah. It's the form's a little different from, I mean, he played well at the Travelers. I think it was either last year or the year before that Denny was, whatever year he lost in the Memorial playoff to Victor
2 years ago.
He was kind of lighting it up, and it was like, this is going to happen at some point for Denny. And it was kind of this tournament that he was kind of he probably wasn't the betting favorite, but kind of felt like a lot of people's first click. But yeah, I'm all over Denny on a place where let's get the ball in play, and then let's see who can make the most putts.
He might have, go ahead, Jason.
I'm looking up right now what Denny was last year. He was 20-1 here a year ago. Sanjay was the favorite at 14. He's playing again this year.
Yeah,
I believe Sepp Straka's in the field this week, isn't he? He was 16 last year. Rye, Denny, and eventual winner Davis Thompson were all 20-1. Jordan Spieth was 25-1.
So Denny's going to be a really short number. He's probably going to be 20, 22-1, something like that. Interesting. All right, let's do a few more names. Josh, stick with us because maybe you can throw in a name too. I led with Bud Cauley. Denny's a good one. I mean, Ryo Hisatsune. I think is a solid play, particularly for this course. I'm going to go with Ryo.
I almost did that in the same vein as taking Jacob Bridgman. I was almost going to take one of your other favorites in Ryo there, but I'll let you have that one. A little dependent on what happens today. I'm going to twofer. We're going snake draft.
Yeah.
I'm picking two guys with this pick. They're both in contention right now, and this is kind of contingent on what happens this afternoon. But Mark Hubbard and/or Tristan Lawrence are both guys who are playing well right now. Both momentum type players. Like each guy, like you look at his historical stats, and like when he plays well, he usually continues playing well for a little while. So I like both of them.
Tristan Lawrence, like I said earlier, I think he's found something, and it's continued here at the Rocket Classic. I'm very curious to see what his number is, and I think that is somewhat contingent upon how he finishes on Sunday. Or did you have two names? You gave out Tristan and Mark Hubbard. Okay. By the way, Taylor DeHart in the chat, he says, see, your guy Pat Mayo had Andrew Novak on his show a few weeks ago. Andrew says he loves the John Deere Classic. I mean, Novak's a winner. Like, I don't mind that call. Taylor, thanks for the reminder there. I don't mind that. I'll give out one more name, and then maybe Jason, you can close this out with a name. And by the way, Josh, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this course in terms of like kind of the setup, but the one more name I'm going to give out, I was tempted to say Eric Cole or Lee Hodges, but I'm going to go with Ryan Gerard. Plenty of upside with Ryan Gerard. Jason, go ahead.
List. He's on my list here. I got 20 names, 18 names here. How about Christian Bezadenhout?
Oh, interesting.
Good course for him. Accurate hitter, great short game. Been waiting for this. Like he's a guy that kind of like Andrew Putnam a year or two ago, like he was getting into all the signature events. You're kind of like, how does this guy kind of maintain the elevated status that he has? It's like, he's got to kind of do something here to maintain that. He's played, pretty good. Nothing great. He's a guy that's, again, kind of like Tristan Lawrence. He's won around the world. He's a guy that knows how to get it done when he's in that heat of the battle. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins at some point on the PGA Tour. So should be a good place for him.
Josh, any final names to consider or anything about TPC Deer Run that you think is worth noting?
No, not. I don't have a ton at this point. I don't think it's the week to talk yourself into a guy who is not a great putter. You're just gonna have to make a ton of putts, regardless of how good of a ball striker you are. So if it's not one of the weeks that I'm gonna kind of bank on a guy who's striping it but can't seem to find the bottom of the cup with the putter. Yeah,
that makes sense. Enter Denny McCarthy. Maybe this is the time, Josh. Denny is your pick, correct?
Right now, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well,
short. Give me a short number.
We're
not gonna like it.
That's a different conversation. But I like the name on Sunday at 11:08 in the morning.
Yeah.
Do we think it's south of, when I say south, shorter than 20-1 on Denny in this field?
It feels like we're gonna be bouncing somewhere between like 18 and 22-1.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I think especially, again, am I missing anybody here? I'm going through the field very quickly, and am I missing like a bigger name that's going to be a favorite over Ben Griffin?
I don't think so.
Any of the names that could are just not playing. He's just playing too good to not be the guy.
Well, and what that tells me is, see, you're probably right. It's probably 14 is my guess for Ben Griffin. But then it's everyone. So like, okay, we're getting a pretty good number on a guy who's a favorite, but then everyone else is kind of sandwiched in there. And between 14-1 and 25-1, we might have 10 names, 12 names.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And just wanted to throw in there that unless the PGA Tour's website is not updated, Andrew Novak is not in the field.
Interesting.
So
I wasn't sure he was.
Interesting. Okay. So don't take him unless he's in the field. That's our expert advice there on the early. I'll tell you right now, I'm probably not going to bet Denny, even though I totally agree. I love the pick. I might have to fade him in DFS because I think everybody's going to play him, especially in this field, given his history as well. My first click is probably going to be Bud Cauley, and because I don't think the number is going to be short of 30, and I think it could be in that potentially 35 to 40 range. In which case, in this field, I'd be happy to take him. I could be wrong about the number. We'll have to wait until tonight to find out, but that's probably going to be my first click. Jason, final thought.
Yeah, a couple more names I'll throw at you. Justin Lauer, I've been waiting to see do something well. He's not playing his best golf right now. Nico Echeverria can really putt.
Yeah.
And JT Poston can putt. And we're talking about taking really good putters at the John Deere. Both of those guys will interest me in a few different markets.
If JT Poston was ever going to win, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but like we get to some big tournaments with some like big names and people are picking JT Poston, and I'm like, that's just not going to happen. But I think in this field, it could. I'll throw out another name. Keith Mitchell's in this field. No,
we're done.
I mean, I just,
Look,
it's so funny. I just
on
mentioned
Thursday.
JT Poston can't win, and then I'm like, but Keith Mitchell.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Look, I've spent 6 years driving the Keith Mitchell bandwagon and like just throwing money at Keith Mitchell, saying he's a top 20 player in the world. Look at the stats. He's so good. I'm done. I quit Keith Mitchell. You know what? If he wants to go win 4 times in the next 12 months, he's going to do it without any of my money on him. That's okay.
Does Sam Stevens interest you guys at all?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. I have to deep dive that a little bit more from a course fit standpoint, but I do think he's one of the more talented guys in this field. Jackson Suber, if you want to kind of go long, he's playing well this week. Typically a good ball striker. I say typically like he has some long pedigree on the PGA Tour, but we know him as a good ball striker. John Pock is another guy that'll have super deep odds that I won't take as an outright, but I'd consider as like a DFS play.
Lucas Glover is going to probably be a little too short for me, but he tends to be a course horse. Like he plays where he plays well, he always plays well. Where he plays badly, he plays badly. He's very predictive. Henrik Norlander's ball strike has been so good all year that at some point you expect him to pop. Yeah. And then if we're looking for a bigger number, and I don't know exactly what the number is going to be. Sometimes the odds makers know that we're we got this nice shiny toy that we're dangling in front of your nose, and everyone wants to jump at it. But Jackson Koiven is very, very talented. He's still an amateur. He's going to go back to Auburn next year. We saw it with Nick Dunlap last year in a better field than this one is coming up this week. I wouldn't be shocked if he's up there.
I really like that. Yeah, big fan of that. He's super talented, can roll the rock too. Yeah.
I think Eric Cole's been a little bit better off the tee. I got to double check that. He would be a name that I think in a birdie fest could really get going. Wonder what the number is going to be on him. I got to deep dive him a little bit more, but Eric Cole would be one more name for me to throw. And I got to say Patrick McDonald's boy, Grayson Sigg, is in this field. Sure. He will inevitably be like 4 under through 7 holes, and then he'll completely go away. So that's the Grayson Sigg experience.
Don't talk about Zach Johnson like that.
Zach's impressing me. I'm not going to lie to you. He's like at the top of it's ridiculous. All right. That's going to wrap up our very quick hitter coverage of the John Deere Classic. More to come, of course. You know our schedule at this point on the Early Wedge. Monday at 7 o'clock DFS show. Tuesday at 7 o'clock Best Bets show. Wednesday at 4 o'clock, the live chat. And then, of course, we bring you this show, which is a live chat of round 4, live betting of round 4, and then the quick hitter preview of the upcoming tournament. Thanks for joining us for this portion of the show, and thanks for being subscribed to the Early Wedge.